We're live. Sad day today, man. As a terrorist attack in France. A whole lot of people killed. I not even know the final total right now. 100 and odd people got killed. Just doing regular things, just living life. You know, Going to watch a show, eating dinner, simple things like that. And there are all kinds of assumptions about what happened. We don't know any names of people involved yet. Um, Initial reports were probably going to indicate some sort of terrorist attack with some Islamic extremists. Once that get mixed up in there, then all everything's going to be geared towards a terrorist attack, and it's sad because obviously the loss of life in itself is sad, but beyond that, it's just this pattern that we're going to continue getting into, where you kill one of mine, I got to kill 10 of yours. You kill 10 of mine, I got to kill 1,000 of yours, and so on and so forth. Um, it's a pattern, and I don't know when we're going to all realize. I said we collectively, the global community, America, France, Britain, Al Qaeda, ISIS, everybody, that violence begets violence, right? We're not going to ever deal with this by just continuing to kill each other. We're just going to just have bloodshed for bloodshed, exchange a pint of blood for a gallon of blood, and one man for 10 men, and 100 men for 1,000 men, and so on and so forth, when nothing ever comes out of it. So that's the pattern that we're in. And we feel like that going to solve anything. When I listen to, um, politicians, who are the ones primarily who are making the decisions to what to do and how to respond. And, it's, you know, there's very little dialogue that takes place. Yes, I mean, I know it's difficult to say that you want to reason with a man who chopping off heads and all this thing, but we tend to only see things from our perspective. They have a perspective too, right? From their perspective, no matter what we feel our intentions are, from their perspective, they see, you know, I saw something today in the Iraq War itself from 2003 to 2011. 500,000 civilians got killed. 500,000. Think about that. Think if 500,000 Americans or British people or French or Germans, imagine if that many had died, what the response would have been. So we tend to just see the brutality. And of course, it's brutal, but we have to realize that they have a perspective too, right? They sit there and they see hundreds, thousands of their brothers and sisters being killed. So no matter what reason we think we have, all they see is carnage and blown up buildings and troops kicking in doors and locking up people and bodies all over the place. And so this is going to be our response. This is how they respond. You know, um, I said don't negotiate with terrorists and all that. Yes, I get that. And you have to sometimes match force with more force. I get that too. But I think we need to understand a lot of their reasoning. We can't just come on this thing about, it's good versus evil. We are good and they're evil and they're the evildoers and that's it. No, we have to kind of understand where they're coming from. A lot of the reasons why this stuff happens is because of the presence of Western powers in their lands, right? Fighting wars and occupying and taking resources and all the stuff that goes on. There's consequence to all this. There are no easy solutions here, but part of the solution should be we need to have a much smaller military footprint all over the world, period, because it creates more and more enemies. And, we just spend millions, billions, trillions of dollars with this effort. It's costly in terms of money, it's costly in terms of lives, but we keep doing it. I don't have to be cynical, but of course there's a profit motive involved here. There is the military industrial complex, which I think Dwight Eisenhower, former US president, in the 50s, I think, warned about, where we're just in this state of perpetual warfare. And there is trillions of dollars that people are making of building all these weapons, a lot of them that aren't even used, right? Building all these weapons just have this big military presence, where all kinds of money is being spent for what gain? The US, I heard in the debate the other night, um, outspends its closest competitor um, 10 times. So if you look at military spending globally, US, of course, is at the top. The number two country, I'm not sure which it is, maybe China or something, US spend 10 times what they spend. Right? So we spend all just money on war, and I understand needing to defend yourself, but we go overboard with it, and we waste money on our military presence. So simple as that. Um, it's not all about protecting us. A lot of it, which I've heard from somebody today on Facebook who was in the military, who joined the military to, you know, fight and defend the country, realized it was, a lot about a money grab. And he got disheartened by all that. Right? I won't call any name. I don't want to fling him out there. He may not want to go on record about that, even though he did on Facebook. So, what I'm, concerned about what's going to happen right now after all this is the response, because there is going to be a response. There's going to be a military response, obviously, once investigation is done and we find out who did it and this and that. There's going to be an effort of France and Britain and probably the US and Germany, and it's going to be the Western powers against the Islamic nations, and we're back in that again. So obviously there's going to be a military response. Long after the military response, however, we know um, there's going to be problems with dealing with others. Xenophobia is going to come out of this. It's not like we didn't have that issue already, but like the um, refugees in Europe, their situation just got a lot more difficult because there's going to be very little tolerance, very little appetite for dealing with any other, right? So these people who are, for the most part, just trying to escape their war-torn countries, they now find themselves in a situation where they have to go elsewhere. And, the open arms that did exist are going to be a little closed now because of all this. So there's going to be a backlash, not just in Europe, that's going to spread globally. So, it's a sad day for humanity, and from many different perspectives. The loss of life, obviously, and just kind of what I fear will happen next. And if I said this on Facebook earlier, if if the past is prologue, the reaction will be worse than the action. What happened today was horrible. What will happen after this, the response militarily, that's going to cause all kinds of, so there's about hundreds, thousands more lives lost. And after that, just the way that we all deal with each other, the way that we deal with those different from us, of other cultures, of other religions, that has a long lasting effect. How we measure that, there's really no way of telling. But I've lived in this world a long time, and it's kind of par for the course. It's kind of what always happens. So it's a sad day for humanity, you know. So I pray for the families of, you know, everybody who was lost in the terror attacks today. I pray for their friends and their family. I pray for the world leaders who are involved in this and kind of what happens next, because there's going to be a response. Um, I pray for the response. I don't know what it's going to be, but, you know, God put your hands over all this, what's going to happen next. And I just pray for humanity. It's a sad day for humanity, and sad prospects going forward. So it's my reason on this matter, man. So hate it, but that's life. One love.